again, this is the large board. All right. And on the large board, on the front is where you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the front of your working board. Okay. For this particular project, we will not be using row 1. Row 1 will only be used for our hanging holes. So on row 1, you'll see the number 1, and there is 2 holes that are divoted, which the technical term is called chamfered. Those are chamfered in. Those will be our hanging holes. So at the end of my wreath, I am going to put a zip tie down and up those 2 holes to make a hanger. Okay. What we are going to be using is row 2. Okay. And what you want to do is take your zip ties. Now these are 18-pound zip ties. These particular ones are 6.3 inches long. You're going to find row 2. And where the number 2 is, we are not going to put a zip tie in there. Okay? We're not putting a zip tie in. We are going to put a zip tie into the next set of holes. Okay? Just like that. So what you're going to do with the zip tie, there is a flat side and a concave side of the zip tie head. To work the zip tie, you're going to put the tail into the flat side of the zip tie, and when you pull it, you hear that zipping sound and it locks. This is how we want to use the zip tie when we're loading our boards. So you want to make sure the flat side of the head is facing in between the 2 holes. Okay, so I'm going down with the flat side facing in between the 2 holes. I'm going down 1 hole and up the other. I'm going to put the tail through the flat side, and you hear that zip. As soon as you hear that zip, you don't want to zip it all the way to the board. You want to leave a lot of space in between here. However, it's still locked. Okay? You're going to skip this set of holes, and we're going to go to the next set. Preload that one, skip, next set. So on row 2, we are preloading every other set of holes on row 2. So down and up. Okay? So we have 8 zip ties preloaded on row 2. Row 3, you'll see a bunch of holes. However, we're only going to be using the main holes on row 3. And the main holes are the same distance apart as the ones where it has a number 3 in the middle. Those are our regular holes. There is a hole in between the regular sets because people make a lot of flowers on these boards. So these extra holes are for them that do, little funky designs and all that stuff. So we're just using the normal ones. And so again, you're going to go down and up, put that flat and tail. You hear that zip and it locks. Okay, so you're going to do all the normal holes on row 3, which is 8. And we are going to do the holes on row 4, which is another 8. And then on row 5, we are going to do the 4 normal holes. However, once we do get to row 5, I will be putting 8 pieces. So we're going to preload some shared holes, but I will get more to that when we get there. So right now I'm just doing the 4. So when you flip it over, you can see it kind of looks like a stitch. When you're sewing a stitch, you'll have a stitch in every other one. That's row 2. Row 3 is every normal hole. Row 4 is every normal hole. And then row 5 is the 4 that are in there. We will be using shared holes. And shared holes means we are going to put a zip tie from this hole to this hole. And then from this hole to this hole. and so on and so forth. So we will have 8 pieces in there. Okay? The zip tie that you did load on row 2 is going to be green pieces. Okay. So what I want you to do is, you got your foam. You're going to take this piece of foam and you're going to fold it in half. Now, I cut a lot of foam. These may not line up at the edges here, these here. That's okay. What I'm focusing on is just folding the middle to completely in half. Okay, so make sure your middle is in half, not matching up over here, although this piece seems to be pretty good. I'm just folding this in half. So the tip, or the center, is completely in half, and then I'm just run your fingers down it to make a bit of a crease. Okay, so you can see that crease right there, and then what you're going to do is pinch that crease up just like that, so you get it kind of looks like a vein going down a leaf, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to pinch it and drag the middle with your forefinger and your thumb. 1, 2. Okay, 2. So 1, 2. And then you can do it this way too, 1, 2. However, I find it easier just to swing it around and do the top, 1, 2. So it's just however your hands feel comfortable. And then you got something that actually looks like a leaf, right? This is what I referred to a little earlier as the nub. The end of this leaf, what we're going to do is we're going to put the end of it into the zip tie. And this is why you don't want to preload your zip ties too close to your board, because you want to give yourself space to get your piece of foam in there. Okay, so once it's in there, I say about 1/2 inch. You do not need to put it in like this. If you put it in too far, you're shortening the top of your leaf, and you don't want to do that. Okay, you're gonna just about 1/2 inch till it's in the zip tie. I do about a fingertip, but then my fingertip's about 1/2 inch, and then do your zip tie up around your foam. Alrighty, and then we are going to proceed to the next one and go all the way around. This doing the exact same thing. Fold your foam directly in half. Okay, I give it a pinch where I folded it. 1, 2. I swing it around. 1, 2. Again, putting the end into your zip tie about 1/2 inch and pull it till it's around the foam. Okay, and as you can see, I'm not cutting the tails off as I'm going, because that takes time. So if I did it every time I put a leaf in, I would have to pick up and put down my tool. This saves more time, because I will do it after I'm finished every row. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, our leaves are done. Okay, now I'm going to go around with my wire nipper. So I like to take these, and if you just pull a little bit without squeezing really hard, you can actually pull the zip tie a little tighter, and then you're going to take it, go right down to the head of the zip tie, and squeeze and clip off the tail. Okay, so I kind of lightly, and you can hear I had a couple more clicks, and then squeeze, pull, squeeze. Okay, again, now we're going to go on row 2, and we're going to do the exact same thing all the way around row 2. And as you can see, the yellow sits in between the 2 green pieces so you don't see the board. This is a very, very easy project with the foam. Okay, so we got 8 pieces of those in. Again, I'm going to go around and pull and cut. All right, now we're going to go on to row 4. I'm doing exactly the same. So as you can see, it is really not hard at all. And I could walk away from this project right now, come back in like months, and know exactly where I left off and where to start up again. And also a nice thing about Unique in the Creek boards is it's very easy to figure out how much cost of supplies you've put into your wreath. Okay? Because that's a big thing too when you're selling wreaths. You want to make sure you're charging enough that you're gonna get what you need price-wise for your time and the supplies you put into it. So for pricing this is very, very easy. It's the price of the board, the price of your zip ties, the price of the foam you used, not the price of the whole package, because if you do a small one like this, you're not using the whole package, okay? So when you look at it, it can be a fairly inexpensive project. And one of those filler items that you can put in your booth so you can have, ranges of different wreaths at different price points. Now, sunflower wreaths sell at any time of the year. Anytime. People love sunflowers, and they especially love sunflower wreaths to put on their door. They put them on their garden, they put them on their fences. A nice big sunflower. So they're actually really great for gifts as well. Especially this one. This one's super easy. You're not fooling around having to wood burn, mesh, and stuff like that. It's just literally cutting up the foam, preloading your board, and folding your foam. There we go. We got row 4 done. It's still the same petal and all that stuff. We're going to be doing the 4 regular holes. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's put those in. And you have to be very conscious on row 5 of how much of the nub you actually put in, okay? Because we don't completely want to cover these 2 holes in the center, because that is where our pipe cleaners are going to go down to attach our center. Anything will fade in the sun, anything. However, you can purchase a Scotch Guard, just like this, which is water and sun shield with UV protector. Okay, and this will help if you give it a couple coats. So bring it outside, spray it once, let it dry, spray it again. This will help slow down the fading process. Nothing will, it's for outdoor furniture and stuff. Even outdoor furniture fades, so. But if your if your foam fades, you could always, I hope Dave's not watching, you could always just cut all these off right over the garbage can. You have your board again, buy some more yellow foam, and make another one. So, but you wouldn't need the board because they are, you can reuse them. Now, if you're selling them, don't tell your customers that you, because you want them to buy another one from you. But yes, if you do buy the Scotch Guard, that works fairly well. At least helps. Okay, so we're putting it in again, 1/2 inch. Yeah, it does dry clear. It has a funky smell, so make sure you do it outside. But the smell does go away when it's dried. And I tell people, if you want to prolong the fading of your mesh or whatever else, you also need to spray it pretty much like anything that's going to go in the sun. Isn't this looking fabulous already? And I would love if you guys would share this for me, or float my boat, or whatever people call it these days. Share this live or share the replay so others know, you know, how easy it is to make your own wreath. Or even start your own little business making, you know, wreaths in your area. Okay, so I'm going to cut these zip ties down. Now, once I show you how to do the shared holes, you can preload all 8 of them. Now, I'm not doing that on this tutorial because then it looks like way too many zip ties and you may get confused. So I'm going to go down just a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting the zip tie going from here to here, and then another zip tie from here to here, another one from here to here, and another one from here to here. And that is going to fill up these empty spots. And again, put another layer of petals on there for you. Okay? So take your zip tie, and just like before, making sure that flat part of the head is going in between the 2 holes, so that when you go to do your zip tie up, you'll hear that zip. I do have tutorials for the poinsettias in foam. They are stunning. I have templates that you can print just on your printer, your normal printer, and you can trace onto your foam and cut out an actual poinsettia shaped petal. So instead of folding like this, you would cut out the petal, and then you would just literally do the same procedure I'm doing as pinching it, but it's a poinsettia shape, and then instead of the center, you would be using some ornaments. Okay, so there we go. So when you flip this over, that center is going to look like stitching. Okay, so that is your full 5, row 5. And then again, we are going to, now it's going to get a little stuffy in there with the foam, and this is why I cut off some of that extra bulk. All right, and again, we're gonna now put this in, and now this is a little tough, but get her in there. Okay. And just do that up. Give it a pull. All right, and then you can fix these as you're putting it in. Okay, it does, even though it's the same row, it just gives it another more layer and more of a 3D look for you. As long as you're not covering, you don't want to cover those two small holes in the center. And get it in there. Put that up like that. Now you can go around and just do all 8 pieces as long as you stay going around the same way and following, you know, clockwise or counterclockwise. I kind of like having the 4 pieces, doing the 4 pieces at the end. It just looks like an actual another layer. Okay, so that is the actual sunflower done. And there's our back. Okay. Now we're going to put our center on. So again, this is a 6.25 faux sunflower center. And then these 2 ends of the pipe cleaners are what we're going to put down through those 2 center holes. Okay, so there's one. And there's the second. I'll flip that over. I kind of pull on it until I feel a resistance and then give it a few twists. Okay. Cut the excess pipe cleaner off and bring them back down the holes there. So we still have a nice neat back, nothing to scratch the door. And then there's those 2 holes that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that we're going to make a hanger with. So you're just going to take your zip tie again, go down, and I push the tail back up, come around till you hear a couple zips, and you're going to cut that tail off and make yourself a hanger. And there you go. You have a gorgeous 3D, because look at the 3D foam sunflower. Thanks for joining me, and I can't wait to see what you guys make. All right, everybody, thanks. Bye-bye. Have a great rest of your day.